And we are on. Welcome back, everybody. I am Sean Santoro with Solomon Financial here in Windsor, Ontario. We are doing another segment of the one-on-one here as part of the Windsor, Ontario networking community. Today, my guest is Dave Sundin. He is one of 10 partners at McTague Law Firm here in Windsor. Dave, thank you very much. We appreciate the time. I know you guys you guys are busy all the time, it seems like, but right, give us a little bit of background on yourself for people who don't know you. I've never actually met you in person, so this is a first for me, but just a little bit of background on yourself.
Sure. Well, first off, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Actually, surprisingly, I remain quite busy despite the ongoing pandemic. So, thank you to my loyal clients for continuing to have legal needs for me to meet. So basically, my background is I'm born and raised in the area. Grew up in Kingsville, not too far from Windsor. I've been living in the city now since roughly 2001. I moved to the city for undergrad. Did my undergrad at U-Windsor. Started a master's degree there and then got into law school before I finished my master's. Graduated from Windsor Law in 2010, called to the bar in 2011, and became a partner at McTague Law Firm in January of 2016.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. So those that don't know McTague Law Firm, it's a full service law firm here in Windsor. It's the largest law firm this side of London. And currently we have 21 lawyers actively practicing law here. So we are the largest. We do everything from, we have a full service employment and labor law department, real estate department, corporate law. I'm in the litigation group myself. I'm a general litigator. I do everything except for family and criminal. That's basically who I am and what I do. I've remained busy throughout this. My area of practice, I things as diverse as estate litigation, to debt collection matters, to enforcement of contracts.
Okay, gotcha. So a lot of the business stuff you're kind of handling as well. Do you do incorporation, that sort of stuff?
Not personally, but we do in our office, certainly. So again, since we have various departments, if you came to us for an incorporation, we would handle that here. If following incorporation, you were hiring people, we've got the labor and employment group that specialize in assisting in drafting employment contracts. We also obviously deal with the ugly side of employment and labor, which is the termination side, but they also deal with the hiring side. And then our real estate department is here as well. But we do both commercial real estate and residential real estate. So we full service real estate needs. And then I got to mention, we also have an estates department that specializes in both drafting wills and powers of attorney, as well as doing the actual estate administration work.
Awesome. Coming back to the law. You said that you're in litigation. Now, for a lot of people that aren't super familiar with the term, what is a litigator? What does that mean?
Well, a litigator is someone who goes to court if needed, but generally my day-to-day life is not being in court. So prior to the pandemic, courts closing down, I was in court once or twice a week, mostly for just procedural issues. Actually, substantially arguing something would happen maybe once or twice a month, because mostly, so Windsor being the fairly small city that it is, there's only a select few litigators in the town, in the area, and so we do each other all the time, and we try to resolve things ourselves. So it's basically a battle of letters, trying to convince people to come find a middle ground, and so the whole skill set besides being able to advocate in court that you learn to develop, and I think you learn to develop better locally, working with a close-knit collegial bar to get things done and get things accomplished. Yeah. So my day-to-day involves a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails with opposing counsel, trying to get things moving forward and hopefully fully resolved without the need to go and spend a lot of money and time in a courtroom fighting.
Okay. Gotcha. And so you said you cover a lot of things. You don't do family, you don't do criminal. You said you do some estate stuff, or that's like an additional department?
Yeah, so we have an estates administration department, so a full service estates department. But when things go, basically any department that we have here, when things go sideways on something, I get a phone call. And I get brought in to help assist. And so, for example, if there's siblings fighting over money in an estate, or who took money improperly prior to mom or dad's passing, then I get involved to assist and go to court if need be.
Gotcha.
So I do deal with a lot of estates disputes, whether that's an estate trustee not doing their job properly and they need to be removed, or a beneficiary who refuses to sign a release and confirm that the proper amount of money has been set aside for them. So there's any number of reasons for me to get involved in an estate file that just can't get finished without the assistance of the court.
Gotcha. Okay. And so what, again, being in not in a similar industry, kind of in the planning side, what have you found has been, right, one of the best ways to kind of prevent those kind of issues from happening, right? I've heard a lot of people, right, they focus communication, have those lines of communication open while we're all still around now. Like, let's have the conversation now, because it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, and so the best way to guard against that, in my experience, is if for some reason you've got more than one child. It's an issue when it's more than one child, or it's a blended family where mom or dad's got remarried. Now there's step siblings involved. If there's going to be anything above and beyond an equal split among all the remaining children, document, explain why there's a difference. And so the best cases are those where you've told your lawyer who's drafting the will up front, I'm leaving so-and-so out, or I'm reducing their share because I already gave them a loan of X number of dollars, and that's why I'm doing this. So the lawyer themselves can document it, and then go back and explain that to all the beneficiaries. Say, hey, your brother John, he's getting less because I gave him $10,000 last week to help him with a down payment. So spell those things out to everybody, including the lawyer drafting the will, so it's clear why those decisions were made. And it should help. And it doesn't guarantee anyone can sue for anything, but it certainly should assist the lawyer acting on behalf of the estate trustee to uphold the will and what the deceased wishes were.
Gotcha. So in the event that something like that happens, again, real estate in Windsor, we already talked about the deep discount it was to a lot of the other city centers. A lot of the new time home buyers, they're having to get into these purchases where there's bidding wars happening. Again, a little less now just because of what's going on, but again, it's still happening. And if people are lucky enough to win the bid, and they're getting those help from mom and dad or aunts and uncles or whatever it is, grandparents, let's say I get a loan for $10,000. Is that a situation where the will needs to be updated, or is it just let the lawyer know so that it's documented?
Yeah, it's not necessarily. So it becomes, it becomes an issue too of whether was that a gift? Was it a loan? If it is a loan, document it as such. If it's a gift, document it as such. Because we don't want, if it was a gift, let's say, we don't want the other siblings later on saying, well, mom and dad loaned you money to repay it. If there's a gift agreement that's drawn up showing there was a gift, then that might be all that's needed. So again, just document and communication. If it's a loan, it's a loan. Make it clear. And that loan document is out there.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. I have, with what's been going on, I'm sure there's been a lot of people coming in wanting to get their stuff all up to date and get all their bells and whistles and all ducks in a row, right? Whatever analogy you like. I had heard somewhere from, again, who knows, this might be telephone, but I had heard that a will maybe not becomes null and void, but if I was married and then I'm divorced, is the will that was created before any good? Is it still valid?
Yeah, so it becomes problematic with when either marriage or divorce become problematic for wills, because that does change things dramatically. So the general rule is you should redo your will after you're married or after you're divorced.
Okay.
And on the divorce side of things, it's presumably because the wife is still wife or husband is still listed as a beneficiary,
Yeah.
which we obviously don't want to change. But a marriage itself wipes out a previous will because you have an obligation to support your significant other in your estate planning. So yes, after a marriage, after divorce, and actually after any major life change, consideration should be given to reviewing your will and making changes as necessary to make sure you're taking care of those that dependent upon you in some way.
Yeah. And again, probably just good practice to just get into the process of reviewing it. Whether there needs to be a change or not, at least we're right aware and we're familiar of what it is, what's going to happen, what's in place, so that, like you said, we've got those open lines of communication. If we've got blended families, if we've got more than one child,
and the matters across my desk are usually those where people fail to make proper, arrangements. Fail
the
to
pre-planning. Yeah,
that's right.
Gotcha. And then at that point, hey, we got to call Dave in. He's gonna
That's right.
he's gonna help us get this matter resolved. So that's good. Again, right? It comes down to planning, right? It's measure twice, cut once, right? It seems like the more time and dedication that we're putting towards these instruments ahead of time, it saves hours of headache and probably thousands and thousands of dollars in the long run.
Yeah,
right?
People seem to be put off if they're getting a quote for oil between $500 and $1,500, depending on complexity, to put off by that expense. But you're right; it could save you tens and tens of thousands of dollars later.
Yeah.
Because litigation is very expensive.
Yeah.
Right? There's multiple hours put in. If you've got to go to court, it can bankrupt an estate quite easily. So spend a little bit of money up front to make sure that your affairs are in order and as bulletproof as possible. And you'll save your beneficiaries and estate trustees headaches and expenses later.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. Again, right? They're all good, useful tools for people to use and be aware of. Whether, again, individuals or business owners. I suspect in the business owner area, you've got more hoops to jump through, because not only do you have all the rest of the stuff, the house and the regular assets, but now you've got business shares. You got to worry about capital gains exemption, all that sort of stuff on the passing of the owner, and the proper and prudent wealth transfer strategies. Again, the more knowledge we have in the area, the better, in my opinion, it only helps.
And it's not, again, I'm the litigation side as opposed to the planning side, but that's why it's so important to go and see an experienced estate lawyer to draw up your will, because there might be the need for a secondary will for the business assets, and that individual can coordinate with the person's accountants to make sure that there's a plan put in place to protect the estate to the extent possible.
Absolutely. So again, I know kind of this time of year, this occurrence, what's been going on, it's been giving a lot of people time to reflect, kind of reevaluate things. Have you been having a lot of kind of people reaching out, or students from the university or any of those kinds of things? A lot of more people putting their hand up and being like, hey, I want to learn more about how to get into law.
Yeah, so this is generally a time when articling students would be starting at law firms, and actually we have a student starting on Monday at our office, and so there are a lot of law students who are very anxious right now about finding summer jobs or jobs in the industry, because that's really, this is the time for them to hopefully get in with a firm, get their foot in the door early if they're a first, second year law student, so that they can land an articling job later on. So I know there's a lot of anxiousness out there. And my words of wisdom really come from older lawyers, because I've only been a lawyer in good times until this pandemic happened, right? So I was again, I graduated in 2010, called to the bar in 2011. There's been really no major economic downturn in the 9 years I've been 10 years I've been actively practicing. So I haven't seen the bad times. And so the experienced lawyers here have always said, hey, there's dips and ups, and there's downs, but at the end of the day, we always keep plugging along. So there is a need for more lawyers. I think in most areas of the province, other than the GTA. The GTA is probably fully saturated. They've got too many lawyers, but every other region of the province is starving. I am, let's see, how old am I? I'm 38, and I'm one of the younger litigators in this city. So, and there's a lot who are getting quite a bit older, maybe eyeing retirement. So there's a lot of litigation work to be had in the city for those that want to put the time in. And it's a lot of time and a lot of effort to get through law school and to article and to be a good advocate. But for those looking in the field, there is room in the field for more litigators for sure. I've heard from the other departments here, there's a demand for, more corporate lawyers, more real estate lawyers locally. Because again, the age of the bar is increasing, and there's not a lot of new entrants coming in. So Windsor Law, to its credit, graduates a lot of law school graduates, but when I was there, I believe the stats were somewhere around 90-95% were not from this area of the students.
Oh, really?
The GTA. So they come here, they get their law degree, they move away, they didn't stay. So there's not a lot of local graduates and local graduates that's sticking around. So even some of the locals that graduated from Windsor Law decided that there were greener pastures elsewhere in the province and left. So there is a big demand for legal professionals in the area.
Any particular reason why they went to school here? Like, were they born here, raised here, and then went to school here and then moved away? Or were they from elsewhere and came here?
They probably try to get into U of T or realize that U of T was much more expensive and said, hey, I'll go get a cheap law degree in Windsor and then go back where I'm from.
Yeah.
I think is the general gist of it.
Gotcha.
It just so happens that Windsor doesn't get a lot of applicants locally, and the oversaturated markets are turning away, 90% of applicants. So they apply to the other areas, including Windsor and Western.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Well, very good. Last question for you, and I promise I'll let you go. For anybody looking to get into the field, let's say they're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, hey, I want to get after it. What would you say is like one or two qualities that if you want to be a successful lawyer long-term, right, you got to have like this one thing or these two things? Like
Yeah, I guess you need to not be afraid to speak your mind to advance your client's interests as the best of your abilities. But at the same time, you need to know how to get along with others because, again, especially if you're going to practice locally, learn how to get along with others because your reputation goes a long, long way. So if you can learn to be collegial and advance your client's interests while being very, very respectful and be able to have conversations in a respectful manner, I think you'll do just fine as a litigator locally. And I think the same is probably true for any area of law locally. You're going to deal, if you're practicing real estate, you practice the same group of people over and over and over.
You're going to be
you and three others on every file, basically.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true for the corporate commercial transactions that happen. You're going to deal with the same people over and over again. So you need to be able to work well with others.
Yeah.
Don't
burn bridges. Be a nice person, right? That whole thing, and then keep your head down and work because I suspect you guys aren't exactly banging out 30 and 40-hour weeks.
That's right. Yeah, you'll be willing to put the time in too. There's some lawyers who think that fresh out of law school think you can come in and work 30, 35, 40 hours a week and enjoy your weekends. And what's wrong with that? I still want to get paid, $100,000 per year, $150 per year, but it doesn't work that way. It's a good living to be had as long as you're willing to put the time and the effort in.
That's awesome. Fantastic. Well, listen, Dave, I'll let you get back to it. I've taken you a little bit more of your time, but I do greatly appreciate it. So thank you again for the words of wisdom and some insight. And hopefully after all this is over, we can have like an actual face-to-face and a beer or a coffee and whatever is going on.
That sounds like a great idea. So thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely no problem at all. Everybody, Dave Sundin from McTague Law Firm. He's one of the principal partners there. I am Sean Santoro with Solomon Financial on the Windsor, Ontario networking community. This is another episode of One-on-One. So feel free to check out our other recordings at www.WONCAN.ca, our Facebook page. If you want some topics to be brought up, you want to be interviewed, feel free, let us know, and we'll definitely bring you on for a little chat. So, but other than that, thank you everybody for watching. Dave, take care, and thanks again for your time.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye.